Hey, everybody, welcome into Loretta McNary's show. You know, I'm so excited to be here because I truly am very blessed and grateful for what I get to do. But I have a guest. This is our first time having a conversation, but you can rest assured it's going to be moving, exciting, and you'll be empowered. So, Juliet, I love the name. First time I ever met somebody's real name, Juliet. Juliet Hall is an amazing author. She wrote this book that's getting a lot of attention and really helping to empower and liberate a lot of people. And it's called Own Your Opportunities. So, what led you, Juliet, to say, out of all the books out there, we need one more book, and that you truly know that this book was going to have the impact that it has?
I believe that it is impactful because the content of my book deals with self maximization. Everyone has a need to self actualize. Everyone has a need for purpose. And I wanted to write a book that was very transparent, that would provide a blueprint to help people realize what's possible. I lay out my life in my book and my experiences in corporate America and how I evolved in the midst of corporate trauma, to show people what is actually possible when you bet on yourself, when you believe in yourself, when you listen to the promptings in your heart, when you actually take the dreams that you have and how you conceptualize yourself and you work towards manifesting that. It is possible. And I wanted to be able to provide an example to individuals, primarily women, but men are resonating with the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to really encourage and inspire people to know, hey, this is possible, and you can bet on yourself. And there are tools that I outline in my book that worked for me, and I hope that would work for individuals as well. But the main thing is I wanted to write a book to encourage and inspire people to realize their dreams.
Yeah. So, in short, the short form of your very amazing long story, you were in corporate America. I was, were you feeling marginalized? I know you didn't feel like you were seen. You couldn't be your highest level of expression there for whatever reason. And I can relate. We could just have a lot of conversation on being in corporate America and never fitting in as the whole, but your creativity and your substance was admired. The only problem was it came from this body, this face, this skin color. And I left countless jobs, countless corporate America, good jobs. And but when I left this last time, I found myself. So is that what I'm hearing you say? So what was the final straw though for you? Tell us that. What was the
Well,
final straw?
I want to be clear that I had highs and lows in corporate America. I There were moments when I didn't feel seen, but there were many more moments when I did, when I had opportunities to grow and develop and evolve as a leader. I had many opportunities to be visible. In fact, my last role in corporate America was a public facing opportunity. So I was extremely visible and respected, I believe. I think the problem was with all of the exposure that I had and the experience that I had, at the end of the day, I felt like my capacity to lead was bigger than the sandbox I was given. That wasn't
Ooh.
enough for me. And so, I there's a little voice inside of each of us that believes that we can achieve great things.
Okay, I
And
want. Can we stop? Because what you just said is ministering to me.
mm,
We have more capacity than the sandbox that we're currently or was currently playing in until we figure it out. But I believe everybody goes through that.
mhm,
And
yeah,
who gets to decide how much of your capacity you get to use? Well, of course, if they're paying your salary, we feel like they have. So, and even still, you left corporate America. And let me tell you too, I too want to make this statement. all my years in corporate America was not bad. I learned, I grew, but one day I just figured that the pain of me leaving, the pain of me staying undermined and not growing was greater than the pain of leaving and stepping out on faith. So I want to back you back up to when you decided, okay, this is it.
Yeah. So I just knew that there was a more to my life. I knew that I had gifts that I had developed along my journey in corporate America. See, the thing about corporate America is that you are given an opportunity. You're given many opportunities to discover what you like, to discover what you're great at, not just good, but great. You're given opportunities to discover what you don't like. And when it boils down to choice, the choice really resides in us because we made the choice to embark upon an opportunity within corporate America. They chose us and we chose them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's ownership on both sides. And when I resolved that, hey, I've been in the corporate system for 20 years. I've had many experiences to lead. I've had many experiences to find the right space in which my gifts can be utilized. And I, in my book, Own Your Opportunities, I really talk about remembering your gifts because I think that when you're working for someone else, you're always going to have, generally speaking, you are going to have situations where you don't necessarily like the people. I think people come and people go. It's more important that you love your work.
Oh
And
yeah.
you want to have work that fulfills you because people won't always do that, right? You can't trust people to do that for you. And when you are operating in your gifting, and when I say gift, I mean your God given, your natural ability, the natural ability that you have that feels like a natural extension or an extension of who you already are.
Mm-hmm.
That's your gift. Also, that you are operating in your gift when you have an impact on other people, when you know that you are serving people in a manner that makes them better. That is also a gift. It's the fruit that you bear. And when there was a point in my corporate journey where my career had met my call. But it was also at that point when there was a lid put on me and I felt like I couldn't ascend above a certain line. And the final straw for me was when I was asked the question, and I talk about this in the first chapter of my book, what is your dream job? And when I revealed what that job was, that where I saw myself, where, I wanted to be a spokesperson of a particular organization, or be in a place where I could just be on a stage because I love a stage and I love being able to impart to people in a way that encourages them and inspires them to be a better version of themselves. And when I was told that that dream was not going to happen for me, then it was very clear for me to leave. And you have to ask yourself, do your dreams fit within your job? And so so I had to make a choice at that point, and I had to decide for myself. I had to choose, okay, am I confident enough in myself to leave and to create a structure for myself and to
Okay.
step out on faith um and to do this, right? So, and I made that choice, which is where I am today.
Which is how long ago was that?
7 years ago, almost
Wow.
7 years,
Did
almost
you ever second guess it?
all the time. Of course, you second guess yourself.
I felt like the Israelites. I promise you. I was like complaining. I
Yeah,
wasn't
I mean,
there, then I wasn't happy moving forward. But eventually, like you said, with self-discovery and really aligning who I am with where I wanted to be in my actual capacity at this moment, I knew I was created for more and that I could make an even greater impact, even though I don't have that six-figure check from somebody that was giving it to me. I still have way more than that, and I still have all my needs met, right? I haven't lost anything, when I first jumped out on faith. So, and I've jumped out on faith several times over the years, and now I think this is going to stick everything else, all, even if it is a 9 to 5, Juliet. I want to say it's still, they're my client.
Mm-hmm.
It's a partnership because they can let me go, I can let them go, so I don't have to say I work at that company, I work for them. They're like my client. I'm a consultant, I'm a sole proprietor when it comes to my gifts and talents and how I want to use them. So when you're hearing and you're sharing your story, are other people saying, yeah, that's me, that's me, that's me?
Absolutely. I have received so many comments from people I know and people that I don't know, people who follow me on social media, who have read my book, who, or just people who are leaving reviews on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. I am, so I actually wrote my book with a target audience of women in mind, but I'm actually hearing from men as much as I'm hearing from women. And they are absolutely identifying and relating to the stories now for different reasons, right?
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
as a woman, many women are identifying with the emotions as well as the experiences. What I'm hearing from men is that they're relating to the feelings of being trapped.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Mm.
so, women identify with some of the experiences of being slighted or excluded
Mm-hmm.
from certain environments within the corporate system. But men identify with feeling trapped. And so it's encouraging that my book has gotten a lot of, the feedback that I have gotten has been extremely encouraging.
Yeah, because I believe what we're talking about, just us being people and souls and spirits having this experience as a human, that is across the board. It's neither male nor female. So what we're talking about is for anybody. It doesn't even, well, now for Black women there is a whole nother dynamic, right? It's two different dichotomies between Black women and other women, of course. But at the end of the day, we all suffer from not being appreciated, being undervalued, being marginalized when we know we deserve more, especially when you have the realization of your value and what you bring to the table, as people like to say. And then it starts changing, you start self-reflecting, and then you have this big resignation that we saw across the country and in other places. So now that we've done that, how do you get us through the next step though, Juliet, in your book?
So after you come to the realization that you want more for your life, that you want to take the limits off, you really, at this point, have to look internally. You have to believe. You have to believe in your value.
Mm.
I,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's like I had to be confident enough. And when you break down the word confidence, at the root of that is confide, and confide means, basically trust.
Mm-hmm.
I had to trust myself that I
Mm-hmm.
could do this. I had to trust in my own ability and in my giftings and in the fact that I had evolved to a certain point after 20 years of learning and growing and evolving and leading in corporate America, that I could do this. I also had to trust in my ability to plan
Mm-hmm.
effectively for my pivot. And I am very honest with people that before I physically resigned from corporate America, I had mentally resigned from
Woo,
corporate.
honey. Now that we
And
gonna stay there for a minute. Yeah.
yeah,
'Cause
that was a process of 2 years. So when I saw the writing on the wall for myself, and when in my spirit, I had already visualized myself that I know I am going to leave at some
yeah,
point. I didn't know what that expiration date was going to be. And
yeah.
everybody, by the way, has an expiration date.
We all do, but the beauty of it, Juliet, you said you decided that you're going to leave, but you stayed with plans to, because you knew why. But what happens, and even in relationships, we'll leave and stay.
Yes.
So you can't. It's impossible. So you're going to go to work every day because you need the check, but you're not carrying the load that you're assigned to. You going in with an attitude. But with you, when you said I decided, you made a mental and a spirit filled led decision. So did you lessen your work?
No, I didn't lessen
Okay,
my
see that's the difference I'm trying to get people to see.
yeah.
Don't leave and stay. That's different. When
Right, right.
you clock out, but you're checking in, you're not doing your work, you're coming in with an attitude. So what you're doing, you're not hurting them, you're hurting your reputation, you're hurting everything. You're hurting yourself when you leave, when you stay and leave. When you leave
Right.
and don't, yeah, when you stay and leave in your mind and in your actions. But what you did is you decided, I'm going to leave this place, but while I'm here, I'm still going to be Juliet Hall because I have a reputation. I don't want to, they can't draw that line in the sand and say she was this and she did that and that's why she left, when we were glad she left. So I like you taking control of that. That was the point I needed to make. So, okay. So Kenneth Frierson, good information. Monica, I'm a collaborate in other people's success. That's exactly what I say now, Monica. They're my clients.
Yeah,
So,
and
okay,
you have to control your narrative. I mean that, and I was very intentional about that. I wasn't going to. I control my attitude. Now, I will say that within that 2-year span, I found myself in very challenging situations, and there were probably moments, not probably, there were, and I'm just being very honest and very real because I knew then, and I actually talk about this in my book about you've got to recognize when you've outgrown a situation. And one
yeah.
of the ways you recognize that is through your attitude. And I know me. When my attitude goes south, I know it's very hard to recover from that. And there were moments within that 2 years, my last 2 years, where I know there were times when I wasn't the best version of myself, you know. I mean, and I think we all have those moments.
Because we're struggling. When there's any growth, just like the caterpillar becoming a butterfly, there's a struggle. It doesn't just seamlessly happen. He
Right.
is struggling, right? We
Right.
make it sound like out of the cocoon to the caterpillar to it's just a seamless process. No, there is struggle. Life can be lost in that process. And so we understand that. Do not beat yourself up because some days you didn't feel like it, because that's just life. And
Yeah.
quiet resigning equals mentally checking out, similar to a divorce. Yeah, like some singer said, when a woman's fed up, it ain't nothing you can do. And so when we get enough, we get enough.
That's true. But I do also want to make it clear that when I speak to people about making their own pivots, I don't believe in just jumping. Like I don't believe in quitting on the spot without a plan. So the 2 years that I was going through my process of preparation, I wanted to make sure I had a plan financially. I wanted to make sure that I even had a plan with my relationship networks, because I don't believe that you should leave alone, especially if you are pivoting to self-employment, starting your business. You got to even have a plan for that. You want to make sure that you leave with at least one client or an opportunity that's going to bring in some revenue, some money so I mean, those were things that I had to think about. I also wanted to make sure that with all of the networks that I had external to the organization, or even those that were connected to the organization that I was a part of, I wanted to make sure that I maintained great relationships, because you never know who you're going to need down the road to open up an opportunity for you for coaching or for speaking. In my case, that's what I do now. As I speak, I'm an advisor. And so I wanted to make sure that those relationships were intact. And I also wanted to have a team in place. It can be very overwhelming, intimidating, even to start over and to start by yourself and to create
and to be alone and no support or even somebody. Because most people, when you walk away from a good job, as people say, they don't get it and they don't understand why anybody would do it.
Yeah.
And again, using the analogy of a marriage that's gone bad, you all don't see what they see. And you say, well, why did you leave her? Or why did you leave him? He had all this and you had all of that. Well, there obviously were some things that were missing and that were not cohesive to a healthy relationship. And maybe they could have stayed and worked on it, but they chose whatever they chose, because we are all adults that we're talking about. You get to leave if you want to leave. But even with that scenario, I suggest having a plan.
Yes.
Especially
Yes.
if you're used to surviving on 2 incomes, or knowing in the back of your mind, somebody got you, if something happens to your job or you get sick. Well, when you're sick, you by yourself, you got to get up and make your own chicken noodle soup.
You
So
do. Hello, hello. And in the planning,
don't burn those bridges, even in your bad relationship, unless it's abusive. And I have to say this all the time. I'm not talking about abusive relationships of no shape, form, or fashion. Do I condone that? I'm not talking about those relationships or those instances or circumstances. I'm talking about when you are clearly feeling like you could do better for whatever reason, and there's no abuse, then you should have a plan.
you
So
should.
what's your plan consist of? We only have a few minutes. This is going fast. So
Oh,
let's kind of give them some tools that they can find in your book. And matter of fact, get her book, Own Your Opportunities by Juliet Hall, anywhere books are sold. But I know you share tips in your book. Can you share a couple of those with us one at a time? Give us one and let's talk about it so we can break it down to the lowest level. And then we'll go to the next one.
absolutely. So one thing I do want to mention is that in my book, Own Your Opportunities, every chapter title is a key to owning your opportunities. So for example, chapter 1 is recognize when you've outgrown a situation. And I had already alluded to that earlier in our conversation, that one of the ways you recognize when you've outgrown an opportunity is to check your attitude. And in my book, just so that for those who choose to buy the book, in the back of the book, I have author's notes, which provides the tips and the strategies and the how to, and a compass, a blueprint. I share my experiences, I share my story, but then I also provide those tips at the end of the book with the hope that what worked for me, there may be something that can work for you. Recognizing that everyone has to create their own path. But yeah, so in one of the keys I talked about, recognize when you've outgrown a situation. I also speak to remember your gift. That is so very key because we are each born. That's chapter 7, which is actually my favorite chapter in the whole book. And it's actually, for me, the most emotional part in my journey because it was the epiphany of having my career meet my call.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that was, but it was also at that point after that epiphany and that realization that this is what God created me to do. I think at that moment that was like, okay, now you know what you need to do. Now you need to make preparations to leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a key. And remembering your gift, like I talk to a lot of people and they're like, well, I don't know what my gift is. And I challenge them. I'm like, well, and remember the days of your youth. Think about what you naturally do well and what you love to do, because at that intersection is your genius.
It
What you
is.
do well and what you love to do at that intersection. So you think about that. If you are a faith-based person, always connect with your source and ask your creator, ask God to remind you what it is that he put inside of you, and listen to that and trust that. And also think about what is it that you do that makes you feel like a genius, that adds value to other people's lives. That
Okay.
is,
Because
Mhm.
I like how you just go, and I have to slow down because I know people are going to be asking questions. We have a question: where to get the book? You can get it on Amazon.com. Juliet Hall, Own Your Opportunities. So when it comes to gifts and things that people are good at, and you said, and our imagination was taken from us as we started getting older, which I think is one of the biggest mistakes that happens to mankind is when people take away somebody's imagination. So like she said, whatever people compliment you on and whatever helps somebody else and it gives you joy at the same time, you don't feel depleted or used when you give it away, whether it's cooking a meal for somebody, cleaning somebody's house or car, doing yard work, creating something, crafting, singing, dancing, writing, doing a talk show, that people say, you always get those positive feedback. And then other people don't like you because you are good at it. That's your thing. That's one of your gifts.
Listen, there will always be haters, right?
Always.
With every plant, with every flower, there are always weeds that will try to take you down, but that doesn't mean that you can't grow. But hey, that is, and listen, I experienced that in corporate America. I experienced some of what I perceive to be the who does she think she is. I mean, I heard Oprah, I hear Oprah talking about that now, but see,
Everybody does. Viola Davis, First Lady Michelle.
yeah, but I wrote my book in the process of writing my book, that's one of the things that I mentioned. That's when that's confirmation. Like, oh, well, who does she think she is?
Yeah, if everybody's agreeing with you, you're not doing enough. You water down the dream, because a dream will bring haters, as people say. They will bring opposition. They will, because people are feeling less than around you because you figured yours out and you're living it, even though you struggle with it, but you're at least out front making it happen, like writing a book, coming on shows, being a show host. Nobody is doing this stuff because it's easy or because we got everybody cheering us on. I can assure you that's not why we're doing it. Yeah. So what's another one? Okay, after owning your gifts,
bring your gifts. I start somewhere. That's chapter 2. Because a lot of people, I think once the older you get, you might begin to feel like your dream is just too impossible to achieve. And I would challenge that, because I didn't leave corporate America until I was 40, 41-ish, something like that. And some people might say, well, gosh, I mean, that seems like it's too late. But it's not. I mean, there are people who are 50. There are people who are 60. In fact, my mother is 75 years old, and she is beginning to really dig into her own passion at that age. And she's a musician.
You're never too old. It's never too late. It's only too late when that dirt is over that coffin. That's when it's too late. But hopefully you plant a seeds in other people. So we have 1 minute left. This is
oh wow, this is not enough time.
We have like 1 minute left, and they're stretching it. It's going to be hard for my editors to get it down to what it needs to be for TV. So where can they find you? Where can they purchase the book? And any closing remarks?
So you can follow me. First of all, go to my website, juliethall.com. And you can learn more about me there. You can order the book there. You can also order my book, Own Your Opportunities, anywhere books are sold. So online, anywhere books are sold. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Books A Million, etc. It's available in hardcover, audiobook, and ebook. And final remarks for me is I just trust yourself. Believe in yourself, believe in the gifts that God put inside of you, and don't let culture define success for you. You define it for yourself.
Absolutely. That is so good. I love that. Don't let culture define who you are. You get to define it. Every individual, all over billions and billions of us on this earth, we at some point get to make that decision once you become adult. And that's the beauty of life. That you get to decide if you want to go, if you want to stay, if you want to leave, if you want to do better, if you want to start a business or stay in corporate America, whatever it is, you get to decide. Don't let people strip you of your power. Don't let people marginalize you and all that good stuff. But I love this show. I hope and pray that people have been touched, empowered, and liberated, and receive this as permission to do you, boo. Do you to the highest level of doing you. Do you. Because at the end of the day, you owe it to yourself, and you don't want to leave here with regrets. And the next person is waiting on you, your yes, so that they can get their yes. So thank you for your yes, Juliet.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Loretta.
All right. So this is what we always do in closing. You all know it by now, right? Think positive, dream big dreams, help someone along the way. And guess what? I'll see you all very soon on the other side of good and on success.
Your life makes a difference.